Hello, guys. Thank you for joining us. We've got semi-retired Bob here and Dave from No Carb Life. How are you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful evening here in Omaha, Nebraska. The temperature finally cooled off and I'm feeling pretty good. How about yourself, Dave?
Nice. I'm doing really well. I'm hoping that the temperature is going to cool off here soon too. We might need to get another tropical storm through before that happens, though, unfortunately. Um, So yeah, but it's coming to the end of summer, and that's good news.
Yes, yes, it is. I
Yeah,
see we've got some people in the chat there already.
yeah,
I can't, I don't know if I can see everybody or not, but I see Rick is here.
yeah. We got Rick here, and hey, Rick, how you doing? And well, that's Rick as well. We got Craig Smith in. Hey, how you doing, Craig? And Limitless Lindy. Good morning, Texas Donna. How you doing, Donna?
She's fantastic, by the way. If you haven't watched any of her stuff, she's moving right along.
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoy Donna's stuff, and it was great talking to her too. Um, okay, Lioness Hiker, Diane, how you doing? Cheryl Edwards coming in from Wisconsin. Whoop. Okay, and we've got Baddest Cat. How you doing? So, guys, let us know where you're coming in from. Okay, and we've got Dean coming in from just down the road from me. How you doing, Dean? So, just for reference, Dean and I both live in Osaka, and we caught up a few weeks ago for yakiniku or barbecue dinner, which was great. Okay, Christine coming in from I can't speak today. Vancouver Island, BC,
British
and Mike's
Columbia.
here. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, Mike.
Okay, and we got Rick from Miami. Yeah, we've got John from Boston. And wow, this is jumping a lot. We got a lot of people coming in. That's awesome. We got 41 people in the live already. Guys, as you come in, whether you're watching on my channel or Bob's channel, please do us a massive favor and smash the like button. That would be much appreciated because that will bring more people in, and we can have a much deeper discussion. The more people that are in the chat. Limitless Lindy from Melbourne, Australia. And we've got One Hope for All from Chicago. And M7974 from Mila, Florida. Is that how you pronounce that? Oh, that's Mila is your name. Sorry. Mila from Florida. How you doing? Okay. And how are you doing, Bob? From Diane.
I'm doing great. She has a channel now also. She's really nice. As
Oh,
far as I know, I
nice.
haven't actually spoken to her yet, but she's on my list of people to contact to try and talk to. She's
Oh,
been coming into
nice.
my comments for several weeks now.
Awesome. And I hope so, Diane, you're doing Carnivore, I guess. I hope you're doing well on Carnivore. Mary from Missouri, Kansas. Okay. So, guys, we're just going to have a chat, answer some questions, talk about whatever topics you want us to address. So, if you could do us a favor, put a nice big Q in front of any questions that you put in, so that my weary eyes can catch them. And yeah, we'll get to those. So, um, it's the end of your day today, Bob, and the beginning of mine.
Yes.
So, what's been on the menu for you today?
Well, what was on the menu for me today? Talking about just food, I had a pound of hamburger and a half a dozen eggs. It was kind of a
Mm.
light day because I just broke a fast back on Sunday, and I've been eating kind of light this week because I I got into a situation last Thursday where I didn't feel really good because I took a friend to the doctor and then he wanted to stop and eat on the way home, so we did, and my stomach's been a little messed up since then.
Mm.
Um, so I fasted for two and a half days to try and get rid of it, and then I've been eating light. So I just had, like I said, a pound of ground beef and a half a dozen eggs today. As far as other things on the menu, of course, I went out and got my usual walk in. I did today was push up day, so I did some push ups, and I've started a stretching routine every day that I'm starting to see some gains from. I'm about 2 months into that.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah,
Awesome. So push-up day. So push-ups once a week?
I do push ups every 3 days. I give
Okay.
myself two days of rest in between because I was doing them every other day the way 90 to 95% of the people out there do push-ups, where you get down in a push-up position and then you just bang them out as fast as you can to try and get it over with. And after my conversation with Jonathan over at Composition Consultant, he convinced me that slowing down was much better. And instead of locking your elbows at the top, you go up to where they're just slightly bent, and take 3 to 4 counts to go down and then 3 to 4 counts to come up without ever locking
Mm.
your elbows. And it doesn't take nearly as long or nearly as many to get the same workout in. I, you know, when I started doing them this way, I had been doing 25 to 30 push ups one set and then a second set. And now going that slow, I'm lucky if I have the energy to get to 15 or 16 on the first set, and then I wait 5 minutes and do my second set. And I very rarely get to a full 10 because
Mm.
it's much harder to go slow. And if you're never locking your wrists, you're never taking the pressure off of your muscles so that you're under a load the entire time. And I've seen some great gains since I started doing it that way.
Nice. Ah, that's really I might have to start. I've got to start getting back into doing the push-ups in the first place, but I might start
Mm-hmm.
doing that method because just hearing about it, it sounds like it would be, yeah, more challenging and, as a result, you would probably get better results from it, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't feel, because if you're like me, trying to crank out 100 push-ups in a day, if the most you can do is 25 or so before you have to take a break, you do some push-ups and you take a break, and then you do some more push-ups and then you take a break, and then you forget you were doing them for a while because you get interested in watching a Dave Mack video on YouTube, and then you get back to it and you do some more push-ups. So it seems to take 45 minutes to an hour to get all your push-ups in, and that's all you've done in that hour. Whereas
Mm.
this way, I mean, it takes maybe 2 to 2.5 minutes the first time, rest for 5, and then another minute and a half, and you're just wiped out. You're done. Your
Mm.
arms can't do anymore. And doing more than that, you could, in theory, go back for a third set, but as Jonathan talks about and Professor K talks about, and I'm going to have Coach Bronson on my channel here next week, and I'm sure he will talk
Nice.
about it as well, about doing the minimum effective effort. The whole point
Mm.
is to try to do as little as possible, but still get the benefits from it.
Mm. Yeah. Um, and I like the idea of doing the minimum effort.
Yes, yes.
That
I
suits
mean,
my personality.
I have no interest in going to the gym and spending an hour or two every day at the gym. I
Mm.
want to, do what I can here and the few cable machine exercises I'm doing over at the gym to work on my shoulder strength in directions that I just can't get here at the house with the type, because you can do push-ups with your own body weight and wall pull-ups and even regular pull-ups if you have a pull-up bar. But there are a few positions that you just can't strengthen without a machine. And that's what I'm working on. But I do the most weight I can lift, and I do a couple of sets. I'm in and out of the Y in 20 minutes to a half an hour, and my shoulders are on fire, and I'm done.
Mm,
And I'm not
nice.
going to take my shirt off because I don't do that for any reason whatsoever. But I mean, you can see here, I'm actually getting some shoulder muscles back.
Oh, hang on. Let me clear that off the screen. Do that again. Oh, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Whoops. So just on this topic, I think One Hope for All is saying if you have fast twitch muscles, it's harder to work out slower. I have fast twitch muscles, and I have to run up the stairs to get to my third full condo. If I don't run up, my quads will start to hurt. That's interesting. So you've got to kind of move fast to get to avoid running out of energy, I guess. That's interesting.
I would I
Okay.
would suggest I would suggest
So,
watching Professor K's videos that he does with Jonathan on that subject,
mm,
because now I'm no doctor and I'm no physiologist, but he's talking about how all muscles can be fast twitch and all muscles can be slower twitch. It's just a matter of how you train them. That's about
mm,
as much as I know about that, but I would look up some of those videos between Jonathan and Professor K, because if there's one person I trust to know the physiology, it's Professor K,
mm,
and he talks about that quite a bit on a few of his videos with Jonathan. So it might
mm.
just give you something to look at to figure out how to train to get slower movement.
Okay. Excellent. We've got a question here.
Oh, yay! Question.
So, when can you expect to start losing fat and not weight? What's your
Um,
experience with that, Bob?
well, I would say everybody is different.
Mm,
Obviously, when you first start this way of life, the first weight you lose is going to be inappropriate inflammation, which is just excess water that your body's holding on to. But I would say within the first 2 to 3 weeks, as your body slowly transitions, and again, it's variable from person to person, because even people, the misconception is that, if you're on a carb heavy diet, that you're never using fat for fuel. That's not exactly true. Instead of thinking it as a glucose burner or a fat burner, there's like a slider. And as you decrease the amount of sugar in your system, you will slowly start using more fat as energy. But you're always going to be using some of each, um, which is why our body makes sugar. Um, but yeah, usually within the first 3 weeks or so, most people get fat adapted, and they really can see the fat starting to get used and burned. It doesn't actually
mm,
get burned; it gets oxidized and turned into fuel and all that. But we use terms like calories and burn because that's what everybody sort of understands. It's the way we've been programmed to think about nutrition and health for the last 50 to 70 years. So
mm,
rather than having the whole discussion about we don't actually burn fat, I
mm,
just say burning fat because that's what most people are going to understand. What
mm.
do you say about that, Dave?
Yeah, speaking from my own experience, I feel like during the first month or so, like the weight loss is pretty rapid when you cut out the carbs, and so I put most of that down to in my for myself, most of that down to water weight, and I feel like it's probably after, for me, it was probably after about the first month to a month and a half that I felt that I was starting to actually, you know, burn fat, like get the fat off. And for me, also, it was probably it was almost 6 months in when I was feeling like, no, now it's really moving ahead. Now I really notice little changes day by day. Um, but having said that, it's all very strange because in the first month is when my breath was worst as far as ketosis was concerned. Like I had that keto breath. Um, so I don't know. I guess it's really hard to pinpoint a time. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So guys, I can't see any cues here. If you've got any questions or anything you want us to discuss, whether it's about the current weather conditions in Nebraska or Japan, or whatever it might be, underwater basket weaving, anything, you can put that topic in, and we'll at least attempt to talk about it.
Yeah.
um
Now, they
yeah.
did not have underwater basket weaving as a class when I was in college, so I had to take regular basket weaving.
Ah, really?
The
How
underwater
are you as a
basket
basket
weaving,
weaver?
not very good, but it was a free
No.
credit. But the underwater basket weaving got into the curriculum a couple of years after I got out of college.
Ah, okay. So what was it? Um, One of my ex-colleagues from Maine used to talk about how he had friends who were good at underwater basket weaving, talking with marbles in their mouth. So yeah,
Mhm.
he was describing people that never stopped talking. But yeah. Um, so we do have a couple of questions now. First one from Diane. If you have no upper body strength, where do you start?
That is an excellent question, Diane.
It's a very good
Um,
question.
and I actually know quite a bit about this because of my
Oh,
heart surgery, my sternum that never healed. I spent the previous 5 years not lifting any more than 2.5 to 3 pounds because anything heavier than that felt like my chest was going to blow apart. But since starting Carnivore, my sternum has finally, I won't say it has healed because it's still misformed and still sticks out of my chest, but it's all solid now. So I can actually could start working on those muscles. And the very first thing I did, this is going to sound like a really basic exercise, but stand in a push up position against the wall. Just, depending on how much you can do, start with your feet anywhere from 6 inches to a couple of feet back from the wall. I start at 6 inches and just do little mini push ups against the wall like this,
standing up. Okay.
standing up. And then, if that's too easy, move your feet back just a half a foot, just 4 or 5 inches further back, and try it again. And at some point in there, you'll get to where it feels like you're working your shoulders. Now my camera's there. My camera found me again. Um, and then from there, slowly keep moving yourself back from the wall. And when you feel like you can't reach the wall anymore, move on to a kitchen countertop or your dining room table and slowly work your way down. Like me, when I started off the wall, I went because I was home, I started on the stairway. I was doing my push ups at a huge incline. I was on the fourth step up on the stairway, and that's where I was doing my push ups. Now I do my push ups on the first step. So I'm all the way down, not quite all the way to the ground yet, but I'm on the first step. And as an interesting side note, on my stretching that I've been doing, I stand at the bottom of the stairs now, and my legs are actually up on the fourth step. which is
Oh, wow.
above waist high, which is where I'm stretching at now.
Wow.
But
Oh,
that's
nice.
how I would approach not having any upper body strength at all. That's where you start. And you
Mm,
can do the same thing standing next to the wall with your hand, like in a doorway, with your hand wrapped around the door and kind of fall back away so that you're pulling yourself back up into the standing position.
mm,
And again, you can, if you get into a doorway, you can slowly change your angle on that as well. And that's both really good places to start.
mm. Nice. So Diane says, thanks. She tried girly push-ups and that hurt my knees. I have stairs too. Great. I did pound that by an 8 pound weight. Nice. Yeah, I really like that idea of transitioning. I've got to find out where the camera is. I've
Yeah.
kind of really like that idea of transitioning from that standing position and just gradually, increasing the angle and yeah.
Yeah. And the thing
Um,
I've found that helps on the girl style push-ups on your knees, um, stick a pillow on the first step of your stairway,
mm,
and then put yourself on your hands on like the third or fourth step, and let that pillow help cushion your knees. And that may be another place to start too.
mm, nice.
Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there, Dave, but
Oh, no, no, not at all. Um, okay. So let's have a look what we got. Okay, so Chad's saying in, hey Chad, my 15 years of teaching scuba, I never did teach. You're right there. Texas Donna. Dave, do you ever make it to the States? And Bob, when are you headed to Texas? All right, Bob, do you wanna take the Texas part of the question first?
yeah, my general plan right now is basically when the first snow flies here, because at that point I won't have to do any more yard work in Omaha. So I'm thinking early October, but it might not be till mid October. Depends on what the weather does, because Nebraska is a very strange place, and the fact that some years we don't get snow until mid November, but other years it can snow as early as the 10th or 11th of October. So I'm going to stick around in Omaha and get as much yard work as I can done before I go south, so I don't have a huge cleanup job in the spring. I'd like to wait till after the first frost so most of the leaves come off the trees, so I can get them up this fall, so that when I arrive back here in the spring, I don't have to do a lot of raking and trimming and all that kind of stuff. So that's
Hmm,
that's when I'm headed to Texas.
nice. And for the first part of your question, Donna, do you ever make it to the States? I haven't been there for a long time. The last time I was there was 19, I think it was either 97 or 98. Um, and I think 97. And I was living in LA. I lived in LA for about 3 months. And I was working there and I where did I get to while I was living there? We got to Vegas one time. We drove to Vegas one weekend, and I got as far down as we crossed the border and went to Tijuana a couple of times. But other than that, I haven't seen any more of the US. So I'd like to get there. So I'm hoping that the channel kind of continues to grow and that kind of um, gives me more reason to come over to the US maybe in the next year or two and maybe attend a keto con or something like that. So hopefully getting to Texas because I think the keto con's held in Texas. No, is that in Austin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So it'd
the
be
the
great
low
to get
carb
over there.
cruise usually leaves from Texas as well. I don't think it's actually
Oh,
called KetoCon anymore. They're
okay.
calling it something else presented by KetoCon. I don't remember what it is, but I know they've changed their name for this coming year. But
Okay.
yeah, It's KetoCon, and I believe it's in Austin, Texas.
Okay, nice. So yeah, I'd love to get back over because I mean, 97 is a long time ago. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. TV says it's burning hot in the UK at the moment. If I wasn't carnivore, I wouldn't be able to cope with this. This is an interesting thing that I've found this year is as much as I hate the heat and the humidity, I'm coping with it much better. And I feel that's a result of carnivore. Um, have you noticed anything like that, Bob?
Oh, absolutely. Now, to back this up just a little bit, I feel because I had just lost a bunch of weight, when it got cold down in North Carolina last year, I was just freezing. I'm hoping that levels out some and I don't feel quite so cold in the cold now that I've been thin for, well, I wouldn't say thin, but much thinner than I used to be. Um, but yeah, because I work at the miniature golf course. And what that means is I'm outside in a basically 8 foot by 8 foot stone block building with a tin roof that also has a cooler that keeps pop and water and Gatorade cold for sale and a slush machine, both of which generate heat. So if it's 100 degrees outside, like it has been the last several weeks, it's between 130 and 140 in the clubhouse. And used to be, I could only work a couple of hours at a time down there. And it was 3 weeks ago. It was the actual temperature was with the humidity, it was like 126, which made it about 100, almost 145 degrees in the clubhouse. And I worked a full 7 hour shift. Now, I did take some electrolyte drops with me and add them to the water a couple times, but I never felt any bad effects from being out in the heat like I used to.
Mm, nice. So, and Limitless Lindy is saying, I've lost a bunch of weight, really feeling the cold here in the Aussie winter. First time actually looking forward to summer. I'm not sure I'd be looking forward to the Melbourne summer. That all I remember, like when I think of Melbourne summer, the only thing that comes to mind is getting into my car and being burnt by the seatbelt. It's just, yeah, Melbourne summer is really tough. So, just on the comment that TV left before, where she was saying, it's really hot in England at the moment, or the UK. Um, I'm really interested how the air conditioning is coping in the UK with this heat and humidity. Someone else mentioned the humidity, Andy. So I when I lived in England, when I lived in London, again, this was years ago, but they in 95 they had an extremely hot summer that they weren't used to, and the air conditioning just couldn't cope. Like in the buildings, like all the air conditioning was only kind of powered so that it could cope with temperatures of like 25 degrees Celsius. Sorry, I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 25 degrees Celsius. So once it got to like 30 degrees Celsius, so 25 degrees is 77 Fahrenheit. Um, Once it got 5 degrees above that, and you're starting to feel uncomfortable at work, no air conditioning could cope. So I just wonder if things have improved since then. This is kind of 95, so this is a long time ago. But yeah. So we've got Craig Smith just sent a message there that said, "Hello from Osaka, Japan." Craig, are you in Osaka? You're just down the
He's in
road from
he's in
me.
he's in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
I think he's passing that along to my channel or something. I don't know.
Ah, okay,
That's
okay. I was going to say, I didn't realize it was other people besides Dean and myself. Um, okay, so we've got another question here for Bob. Ta-dum, from Susan. Question for Bob. As I've asked Dave already, Bob or anyone, have you heard anything about carnivore improving cataracts? Just had an eye exam and the optometrist said I have mild cataracts. I'm 64.
Well, I haven't actually heard of this specific thing, but I don't like to talk about how carnivore helps everything because then it sounds like, hairy-legged hippie woo-woo science. But because carnivore is the proper human diet, I believe that there's nothing it can't actually help. Um, so it's very possible that carnivore can help improve your cataracts. Um, there are also some nutraceutical products that I am not allowed to make the claim that they will help your cataracts. But I can tell you, as a not my personal story, but if you watch Professor K's channel, he actually was diagnosed and told he was going to go blind 13 years ago because he had wet macular degeneration, and now he sees better than he did then. So it might be something that you can investigate there as well. But yeah, I believe carnivore can help just about anything, because getting our body as healthy as it can be can't hurt. And I guess that's the final answer. Carnivore is not going to hurt anything
Mm.
in your body. It's not going to cause you to have some other problem. A good example of this is there are people out there that'll claim that, oh, keto caused my uncle to have kidney stones. Well, no, it didn't. Your uncle probably had kidney stones long before he went keto, but he started the ketogenic way of living, which will reduce the kidney stones and they'll start to get smaller. And then once they get to a small enough point, they can pass out of the kidney into the ureter, heading for the bladder, and that's where the pain happens. So keto actually helped the kidney stones, but you felt the pain because they got better and
Mm.
started to pass. And that's the same thing that happens with, I believe, pretty much any system in the body. If you're having a problem, you probably have had that problem slowly developing over years and decades. Just because they notice it when you start carnivore does not mean that carnivore caused it. What do
Mm.
you think about that, Dave?
Well, yeah, I think that's it's common to associate. It's natural to associate whatever you're doing right now with whatever the condition is you've just been diagnosed with. It's a natural thing. So you go, well, I've suddenly, my foot's suddenly fallen off. It must be this thing I've been doing, because that's a natural way you do it. You break your leg. It's because you jumped out of the airplane or whatever it is, right? But it doesn't necessarily work like that, as you say, Bob. The damage is done years before through, in my case, for example, if I was to experience some kind of health issue, that damage could potentially have been done when I was eating the ice cream, when I was drinking the alcohol, when I was doing all the other stupid things that I was doing. It just happens that it looks like it's something I'm doing now because it's happening now. So yeah, and that's one of the things you kind of in the industry that I've been in, you kind of get out of the habit of looking at things like that because you have to. You're always doing IT. You're always, and especially when you're doing help desk related stuff or problem troubleshooting, you're always kind of looking at, okay, well, that looks like what's causing the problem, but what actually was the chain of events that has led to this? And kind of you've got to step back and you've got to look at things that have happened in the past. And yeah, that's definitely the case with with when you're having health issues. You've got to kind of look at the whole picture, not just what you're doing now. So yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a long answer. Okay, so I like this one. Osakalahoma.
Yes.
Thanks, Andy. um, okay. So, and a follow up from Susan. Bob, are you talking about that product that Bart K is part owner of that starts with the C?
Yeah. Well, he is an independent business owner, just as I am an independent business owner. He doesn't actually own any part of the company. In fact, he started using it 13 years ago. A different company purchased the company like 6 years ago, and that's when he started distributing the product for them. He is one of their top distributors because he's a pretty famous YouTuber. Um, so if you're interested, as I always tell people, there's a link in my description. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Click the link in the description of any of my videos, go out to the website and read the science. And after you read the science, you can decide for yourself if this sounds like a product you would like to try. But yes, that is the product I'm talking about.
Okay. Mala, hi Dave and Bob. Hi Mala, how you doing? Where are we? Oh, just going through the question. Okay, here we go. Bob would like to know, what do you order when you go out to restaurants for a dinner meal? Bob, when you go out for dinner, what do you order?
I haven't gone out to eat, and I've gone out to eat 3 times since I started the carnivore diet 16 months ago. The first time I got eggs, bacon, and sausage. They must have used seed oil on the grill because I got sick the next day. The second time I went out to eat was when I was down in North Carolina, and I did not realize we were stopping to eat. I was looking forward to getting back to the church where my camper was parked and making myself some hamburgers, but they stopped at this barbecue place. So I just got a pound of their pork that had some kind of a vinegar based um, barbecue sauce on it. It was very good. And I will not say that I got food poisoning from that, but I had food poisoning like symptoms for about a week after I ate out. The third time I ate out was just last Thursday. I got 3 hamburger patties. They were very good, but there must have been some seed oil or something either on the grill or in the burger meat because I got sick yet again. Um, Bottom line is, I don't go out to restaurants. I eat at home. Even prior to doing the carnivore diet, I was never big on restaurants because I can't really afford to go out to restaurants. It's much cheaper to eat at home, so that's what I do. Why go to a restaurant and pay $2 or $3 for a hamburger patty, which is what I see a lot of people doing, when for that same $3, if I bought it on sale, I can get real close to 2 full pounds of hamburger for that at my local grocery store and have a nice big hamburger bowl feast rather than a couple skimpy little burgers. But yeah, if you're going to go out with family, I would get just the steak or just some burger patties, maybe a little cheese on the side. But me personally, I don't go out to eat. What about you, Dave?
So I go out to eat maybe once a week or something with family. It's pretty easy to eat carnivore in Japan because you're going to get barbecue, like sliced beef, basically, is a regular meal to eat out. So, yeah, you cook it at your own table, so there's no risk of seed oils. They'll give you a little piece of lard to cook with. Um, so that's all okay. I'm interested to see how I go in Sydney in October, because I'm going to be completely on my own as far as I'm not. I'll be in a hotel, so I won't really have the facilities to prepare things for myself. So I'll be at the mercy of restaurants. So we'll see how I go. But my experience in Australia is when you go to a restaurant, it's pretty good as far as if you say, I just want the steak, they'll comply with that. They're quite happy to do that. The only issue will be where the seed oils are used. But other than that, yeah, just just eat the steak, but try to avoid the seed oils when you can. Um, okay. Oh, look, we've got so many more people suddenly flooding in. We've got Kip. How you doing, Kip? Did I hear barbecue? How you doing?
Uh-huh.
And Nicole's in the house. How you doing, Nicole?
And if you scroll up a
Okay.
couple of things there, I think
Yeah.
Minimalist Carnivore had a pretty big statement there. I think I saw, I was looking at my bigger screen trying
Yeah.
to read, yeah, Brazilian all you can eat place. I
Ah.
we have one of those here in Omaha now, but it's all the way down on the other end of town where I don't like to go. Um, but yeah, that seems to be a
Hmm.
really good thing.
Yeah.
But again, I can't afford to go. I think it's a chain called Texas de Brazil that they have one down in Florida right near Joe and Rachel, Two Crazy Ketos,
Hmm.
and they actually buy the the pass card where you go a certain number of times for a price, but it's still, you know, $45 or $50 to go eat a meal there, which is a lot. But it is all you can eat meat, and they bring the meat right to your table and keep slicing it onto you. And I ate at a Brazilian barbecue once about 20 years ago, and wouldn't mind going downtown Omaha to trying that at some point, but I can't really afford to spend that much on one meal. I barely spend that much in a week on food.
Hmm. So did you say that you can get a pass card so you can go in a limited number of times?
Oh, no, no, but this they will sell you like instead of say $50 for one meal, you can buy a 10 meal card, and that works out to like $35 a meal. So you save money if you
Ah.
buy a bunch of them at a time.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's nice.
I don't know exactly how it works, but if you're interested in it, talk to Joe and Rachel or Two Crazy Ketos because, as I understand it, that's one of their favorite restaurants
Oh,
for eating
cheers.
out. When they eat out, that's one of the places they like to go to.
Hmm. Okay, so Russ from Homestick Buckeye, how you doing? Ketogenic greetings to two of my favorite carnivores.
Yeah, I just
Cheers,
recorded a
Russ.
video with. I just recorded a video with Rush yesterday. It should be out on Sunday unless I run into trouble in the edit.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Where was it? Oh, here we go. Okay. So Craig is asking, how do the Japanese eat so much rice and do not have health issues? This is a good question. So, um, the the from the reading I've done, and the just what I see around me, um, I think like there's some level of adaptation, or that has happened where rice is not is perhaps dealt with better in a Japanese body than it would be in, you know, your typical Western evolved body. But um, Japanese people do have problems. The rates of diabetes once they get older is quite high. And like Japanese people, their whole lives, they do eat a lot of carbohydrate. Um, and I think they they tend to get away. I think things are getting worse as they are all over the world, but they tend to get away with it a lot when they're younger because a lot of the carbs that they're eating are more kind of that slow release kind of carbohydrate rather than the just pure kind of fructose or something, you know. Although again, it is getting worse. Um, but it seems to hit them later in life. And yeah, so diabetes is still quite prevalent here. Um, but yeah, that's all I got for that one, I think. But that's a good question, Craig. Um, yeah. Okay. Let me have a look if I've missed anything here. Da-da-da. There's a lot of talk about Brazilian steakhouses. This is really started a bit of a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, so Craig is asking, do Brazilian steakhouses use vegetable oil? When I go out, it's hard to avoid seed
Yeah.
oils. Yeah, it is difficult to.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so. The way I understand it, most of the meat you get served in a place like that is put on a spit over the grill, and they bring the entire spit of meat out to your table and cut hunks off of it.
Uh,
So I don't think there's any vegetable oil in there. But like I said, it's been, I don't know, 20 years since I've been to one, and the one I went to was down in Memphis, Tennessee.
oh, nice. Sorry, just picking something up on my computer. Okay, nice. Um, doo-doo-doo. John says, I'm trying to get a friend of mine who is starting carnivore to stop drinking. He thinks alcohol won't affect the diet, and I say he's 100% wrong. Um, do you have any thoughts on this one? I've got some thoughts, but you want to go first, Bob?
Yeah, well, I say, depending on how bad his diet is now, my first thought is because I've never been a drinker. I mean, that's the one thing I was told back in 1983 that every doctor has told me ever since. When you have gout, you can either drink or you can walk. You can't do both. So I've never been a drinker. But I would say if you get your friend to start carnivore, and if alcohol is his only problem at this point, let him get adjusted to the carnivore diet first, and then perhaps try to take the alcohol out, because it will affect his diet. It still will affect his liver and everything else, but we can't change everything all in one day. At least most people can't. That's my thoughts
Mm.
on it. What do you think about that, Dave?
Yeah. So yeah, I tend to agree with you, Bob. Like, I would say if he can get onto carnivore and that means he continues drinking, in the short term, I would just focus on get him onto carnivore first, get him through that first, because it might be too much of a stretch to get him to give up everything at once. It's something I did, but my personality is just so extreme. If I didn't go cold turkey on everything, it wasn't going to happen. And not everyone else is like that. So I would probably, yeah, say, okay, keep, maybe try and reduce the drinking a little bit, but just make sure you're getting onto carnivore otherwise,
Oh,
and worry about the drinking side of it later, because as he gets onto carnivore and his self-control improves, giving up the drinking is going to be a lot easier then, I think. you know um it's your self-control gets much better on carnivore, so yeah, that could help too.
yeah, I've heard of a lot of people with other addictions after they've gotten on the carnivore saying that it was much easier to kick those other addictions
Mm,
later.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've done the Brazilian ones. Okay, so guys, have you got any more questions for us? Oh my goodness, no more questions. All right, so in the meantime, um while everyone's busy clicking the like button and thinking of questions to put in, hint, hint. I so Bob, what is your goal for the remainder of the year? Do you have anything that you want to achieve, whether it's with carnivore or something related to carnivore before the end
Um,
of the year?
I don't really have any set goals. I'm working on getting stronger because by the end of the year, I hope to have my shipping container spotted on my new piece of land down in Texas. And then by spring, before I come home, I hope to at least have a really good start on building the roof over top of it so that
Mm,
next year I can encase it in earth bags, which is basically a great big sack full of dirt piled up all the way around the shipping container for insulation, and get my solar panels set up and start digging garden space and that kind of stuff so that I can actually next year when I go down actually start doing some things. And I'm not trying to garden for myself, but I do want to get a garden started so that I can grow things to feed chickens.
mm,
And I'm not talking about egg laying chickens because those require you to be there year round to take care of them. I want to raise some meat chickens, which take about 8 weeks to get to full size. So I want to get them, raise them to 8 weeks, and then butcher them and fill my freezer full of chicken.
mm.
And that's
So
that's my basic plans.
with your with this container home that you're going to put down there, is the long-term plan that you want to move down there permanently, or is that going to be your winter escape from Nebraska?
Um, I want it ready to move in full time so that if things continue to go with the people that hate meat eaters, if it continues to slide downhill the way it's going right now, I can move down there full time, raise myself some chickens, raise a couple of goats, raise a couple of sheep. I've got 10 acres, maybe even a cow or two, and basically be self sufficient because it would only take, because I don't eat very much chicken anyway. So 5 to 10 chickens, one sheep, one goat, and one cow would be plenty to feed me for an entire year. So I would only
Mm,
have to be doing enough to keep that cycle going.
mm,
And yes, it's far enough out in the middle of nowhere that nobody will come bother me, and I don't have to worry about any regulations because the section of Texas I'm in, other than, of course, falling under federal law, you're still not allowed to kill anybody out there, um, that kind of stuff. But it's basically unrestricted use land because I'm out in the middle of the desert. So I can basically do what I want when I want. And if I'm raising the animal myself, I don't have to butcher it per specs because I'm not selling it to anybody. I'm going to cut it up and throw it in my freezer.
mm. Oh, nice. And so you said you're out in the middle of the desert, but like, does it out there, will it get enough rain and stuff like that for you to be able to, I don't know, grow enough grass,
Yeah,
make it
that's where
sustainable?
the roof over the shipping container comes in. I'm actually planning on putting about a 20-foot by 40-foot roof over top of the container, and that much space should get it so that I can collect about 13 to 1400 gallons of water per every inch of rain. And
Oh, nice.
that area of the desert averages about 12 to 12 and a half inches of rain a year, which would be more than enough water, not only for myself to drink, plus water whatever plants I want, water whatever animals I want, and still have some left over by the time the monsoon season comes around again to fill everything back up.
Oh, nice. And then, of course, the solar panels for the energy, and then you're all set.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow. That sounds awesome. Okay.
I'm
Oh,
hoping
so
to
we got,
within 3 to 5 years be completely self sufficient so that if I never make another dime off of YouTube or I never make any money from my retirement accounts or anything, I have the animals that I need to live right there, and I'm growing enough food to keep the animals fed so that they can grow up big and strong and give their life for me so that
Hmm.
I can continue to grow up big and strong.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So what do we got? Okay. Hey Don, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And Kip is saying, my goal is to run and catch up with Bob somewhere on the Appalachian Trail. Nice. Awesome. Okay. Russ is asking, so Bob is going all the way to Texas to kill chickens. No local chickens need to die.
I don't have the space for it here, and my house in Omaha, there is a homeowners association that would frown on putting a chicken coop in the backyard.
Hmm. Okay. Susan, for Bob, I doubt the beef industry will disappear from Nebraska anytime soon.
I agree with that, Susan, except, they're talking now about, there are some people that are saying, well, we're not ever going to be able to completely eliminate people eating meat. So now they're attempting to work on legislation that will quadruple the taxes we pay on purchasing meat. Because right now it's food, you don't pay taxes on that in Nebraska, but they're trying to write the laws in such a way that will basically mean that ground beef goes from 2 to 2.50 a pound to $10 a pound, and ribeye steaks go from 19 to $25 a pound up to $50 a pound is what they're trying to do at this point.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens as we move forward.
Yeah. Wow. It's not
That's why,
good.
as Dr. Baker says, we have to, everybody that's involved in carnivore needs to stand up and
Mm.
say something. Yeah, it's in the
Yeah.
European Union where they're working on a new tax right now, but anything they do over there, they're going to do over here. Guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, as soon as governments see that, people will accept something and also it can generate more tax revenue, then they're all in for it, right?
Well,
Go, oh
yeah.
yeah, the EU's doing this. This is working great. Awesome. Let's bring this in over here. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. So Mike is asking, how much do you guys drink daily? I recently went from 5 to 4 liters and feeling much better throughout the day. Yeah, I do about 4 or 5 liters, so I'm about a gallon a day. How about you, Bob?
Yeah, I don't actually track how much I drink. I know that I have my decanter that I fill up with water that's right here next to the my computer, and I drink a lot because I had gout. One of the few things that seemed to actually help my gout back in the day when I had those problems was drinking a lot of water seemed to help. So I've always been a water pusher. Um, and I've never even thought to try and cut the water back. Just anytime I'm thirsty, I drink. And I would, if I had to guess, I'd say I empty, and this is a 28-ounce jug. I'd say I probably fill this up 5 or 6 times a day. Plus, when I'm upstairs, I have another big glass that I drink out of when I'm upstairs, and I fill that a couple of times a day, and it holds 32 ounces. So I'm probably somewhere between a gallon to a gallon and a half of water a day.
Hmm. Nice. So, and you're drinking, it's still water, not sparkling.
Just water.
Yeah.
Just water.
Um,
I don't even have to filter it here because the water, one of the few things that Omaha has going for it is our tap water is actually very good here.
oh, nice. Okay. So, Carrie from My Metamorphosis. How you doing? Um, and Susie joining late but glad to catch you live. Hey, how you doing, Susie? Okay. And where was I? Okay, so yeah, Chad's about a gallon a day also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I drink a sparkling water every day. Love those things. Fun stuff. Yeah. So for me, the reason I asked about the still water, Bob, is because I only drink sparkling water, and I've found it, um, like even before Carnivore, I drank sparkling water, but I've found since I've been on Carnivore, the sparkling water has become addictive. And like I've always got to have a water in my hand. I've always got to be able to drink some. Like I'm almost panicking to the point, the same level that if I run out of coffee, if I run out of sparkling water in the house, I'm also a little bit like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? And the interesting thing for me is on a live the other week, I heard the same thing from quite a few other people that they feel addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting. I wonder if there's something that happens with your tastes that it makes it more easy to get addicted to particular things. But I can't imagine how you could ever get addicted to water. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I used sparkling water to break my Diet Coke addiction more than a year ago when I first started this. I used
Hmm.
Misha Berry's method on slowly adding more sparkling water to the Diet Coke to cut down on how much Diet Coke I was using. And the last six pack that I had bought myself actually got thrown away because it had expired and had been sitting on the kitchen floor for 6 months because I never needed it. And
Hmm.
I've been on just water since then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Do we have so yeah, Donis is I'm the same way with sparkling water. Yeah. Okay. And Chad's saying make cold brew from sparkling water then.
That's funny.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we got a question here. Here we go. So Jack is asking, do you find you eat more if you salt your foods liberally? I haven't lost much in my first round of carnivore, 10 pounds over 8 months, and my second round seems to be on pace. Too much salt. Interesting. What do you think about that, Bob?
Um, I don't know what to say about that, except I will put on my Dr. Barry disciple hat for a moment and tell you that your body has a very complicated mechanism, your tongue, to tell you if you need more salt or not. If you salt your food and it doesn't taste salty enough, add some more salt. If you salt your food and you take a bite of it and go, whoa, that's a little bit too much salt, then back off the next time. Um, I don't know that there's a mechanism within the body that salt would cause, because salt does not cause water retention like they say it does. It's all the stuff around it. Your body needs salt. Every cell in your body needs salt. Um, and the fact that they put people with heart conditions on a low salt diet, in my opinion, is criminal. But that's just
Hmm.
my opinion. I'm certainly not a doctor.
Yeah. Um, my feeling about this one, do you eat more? Do you find you eat more if you salt your foods liberally? I honestly, I feel a little bit like it would be the opposite for me. The more I salt my foods, the more I find I probably would eat less because I feel like the salt is something that helps satiate you because your body is demanding a little bit of salt. So when you give your body what it wants, that kind of makes you stop eating. That's my feeling about it. I can't say it's my experience because I I'm struggling to put it into context, but my feeling is that the salt would satiate me more than anything.
I can see
Yeah.
something in that too, Dave, because back when I used to get cravings in the middle of the day, but I knew I wasn't really hungry, a pinch of
Mm.
salt on the tongue will knock those cravings right out. So what
Mm.
you're saying there makes an awful lot of sense.
Mm. Okay. So yeah, I guess we can't really address that one fully, Jack. Oh, okay. So Jack's got to follow up. I'm no stranger to salt. I salt to taste, but I feel I am eating 3 pounds of meat a day. 36-year old. If you're 36 years old,
You should
I
be
don't
eating
think.
twice that much.
Yeah, I don't think 3 pounds is that much for a 36-year-old man. To be honest, I
I'm
mean,
60 and I eat 2.5 to 3 pounds of meat a day.
yeah, um, yeah. I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think 3 pounds is really overdoing it. Like, doesn't Mike would eat something like a crazy amount of ribeye? Like
Yeah.
a crazy amount of, yeah. So yeah, I think it. I think you're okay. I would trust the process, Jack. It might not all come off quickly, but it will. It will come off. Just yeah, I would stay the distance. Um, Andy, what do you think? What do you guys think about salt intake with our ancient ancestors when humans all lived in the wild? Oh, interesting question.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that our ancestors did not have that we now are required to do by law, after you kill an animal here in the slaughterhouse or wherever it's being butchered, they hang it up and let all the blood drain out of it. And what's, one of the number one ingredients in blood? Well, it's salt. If you've ever tasted the blood of an animal, it tastes salty, but they can't leave it in legally. They can't leave it in the meat anymore. They have to hang it up and drain it and wash it and do all that stuff with it. Whereas our ancestors, they probably didn't even pause to think about it. They took their kill, hacked off hunks of it, and probably ate a couple of handfuls of it raw while they were cutting off chunks to put over the fire to eat cooked. I suspect our ancestors ate, like I said, a couple of mouthfuls raw while they were waiting for what they just got to cook, but it still had all the blood and everything in it. So they got a lot of salt and other minerals from the meat that we no longer get because of the regulations involved around the processing of meat that you're going to buy in the grocery store. That's my thought.
Mm, yeah. And I can't really add anything to that of any value. So I'm I'm gonna leave it with Bob's comment there. Um, okay. KD just got into the stream. Dave, are you still in Japan? Sorry, I just haven't seen your videos lately. Oh no.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I'm still
painful.
in Japan. I'm still in Japan, yeah.
He's
Um,
talking to us from the future because it's only Thursday evening here, but it's Friday morning and he has to go to work here pretty soon.
that's right. That's actually a good point. Yeah.
So while you're
So,
you're off working, you can relax in the fact to know that I'm going to be laying down and going to bed here very soon, and
yeah.
I'll be
Very,
snoring away while you're laboring away at work.
yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh no. When I'm running around after kids trying to get them to speak English, you'll be snoring away. Oh, nice.
Yes.
So actually, on that point, we don't have any more questions in the stream, so it might be a good time for us to just remind everyone to, if you're watching on my channel, that's great and thank you. But please head over to Bob's channel and give him a subscribe as well. And if you're on Bob's channel, I'd appreciate you doing the same.
Yeah, Dave is my morning watch, folks. I mean, if I'm having coffee I make my coffee and I sit down and watch Dave's daily offering. Or if I'm not having coffee, I still make my hot drink with my electrolytes and stuff in it with just hot water instead of coffee. And he's my wake up guy. I sit down to coffee and watch whatever Dave has put out on the internet that day. And then I start
Oh,
my day
thank you.
after that. So if you guys aren't subscribed to Dave, what are you waiting for?
Cheers, Bob. That's very kind of you to say. Um, so I guess from my side, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Like I tend to end live streams just talking about this, but I think it bears repeating. When I loaded my first video in October last year, I never thought I'd get to the stage where I could just click a go live button and suddenly there'll be all these people I could talk to. So it's been awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. And it's great to be part of this community. And yeah, I really appreciate all of you. And Bob, did you have anything final you wanted to say too?
Yeah, I pretty much the same thing. It just blows me away that people actually tune in and want to hear what an old retired truck driver has to say, and they keep coming back for more. But the thought I will leave you with tonight is don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you in the next one.
Cheers, guys. See ya.